Now, when CCTV footage emerged of the riots in England in 2011, many people were shocked to see the extent of the involvement of girl gangs.
In fact, more young women than ever are being drawn into gang life, according to the UK's Centre for Social Justice. It says the post-riot measures didn't work and describes gang culture in Britain as toxic.
Well, joining us to talk about that is Tracy Miller, a former gang member who now works as a youth mentor, and Nadine Woodley, who's written a play about a girl gang in South London. Morning both. Thanks very much. And you both know quite a lot about this subject. Tracy, particularly you, because back in the day you were very much a central part, weren't you, of a gang?
Yeah, I grew up very wayward. I grew up in a household where I felt oppressed, and looking back now, I was ungrateful. I didn't appreciate what my mum did for me. Raising children are hard, and now I'm a mother. I know it firsthand. My perceptions of life is warped. So, I just felt like I had no one to talk to. I had a stepdad that was, how can I put this? He used to flash. He never physically ever touched me, but he used to show himself as a paedophile, technically. So I was scared in my own home, and basically I was too scared to tell anyone, so I took my anger to the streets.
And you did some pretty bad things, you would say now, would you?
Yeah, I've done some stuff. I'll talk about what I've been convicted for, so...
Go on then.
I've stabbed someone.
Who? Someone you knew?
No, I didn't know them. I had an argument at home. I was just very wound up. I think I asked him the time, didn't like the way he responded, so I stabbed him. I'm not proud of what I used to be, but at least someone like myself can relate to the youths, and hopefully what I say will resonate and I can get them to turn their lives around.
Yeah, and Nadine, this is something you've written about, you have experience of, you've met a lot of people that have kind of similar stories.
Yes.
Of where their lives have been and what's happened. The suggestion is that a problem's getting worse at the moment.
It's always been there with girls in gangs. Obviously now, since the riots, it's come out as though it's getting worse, but I find it's a problem that's always been there, and both Tracy and I are in our 30s. This is something that we've been familiar with from when we were about 15, 16 years old. It's just not something that's ever been talked about or addressed. Now, I've worked as a creative youth support worker for the last 10 years, so I've seen it from a school perspective, a youth club perspective, community centres, youth offending teams. I've spoken to people from NSPCC, Childline, they're getting calls all the time, but unfortunately, there's not been a lot of government statistics to say that girls are involved in gangs unless it's associated with young males. But there are girls that are perpetrators of gangs themselves.
So I guess the question for both of you is, you've met these, you were in the gangs yourself. How do you stop them becoming part of that kind of spiral downwards, as it were? How do you stop it, Tracy? What would you be?
Well, first of all, I'll call to parents, because a lot of it, like my journey in particular, was because my basic fundamentals at home weren't correct. And when we're mentoring and we're speaking to a lot of these youths, it is, oh, my home life was completely wrong. So parents, if you're going to have these children, raise them, don't drag them up. Know your child. You know when your child's going off the rails because you know them, you raised them. So.
But the point you made earlier about your own situation was that you were, to a degree, railing against your home background.
Yep.
So what would have been, I mean, as you look back on it now, what would have been the thing that could have come into your life that might have made you rethink the path you were on?
Right, look, I love my mum dearly, but she was a manic depressive. So when my stepdad was keeping up his antics, I couldn't tell her because I didn't know what effect it would have. Would she go and kill him? Would I lose my mum? My dad's incarcerated, so she was the only parent I had. Maybe if I could speak and talk about what was going on
to
my mum, even, or a family member who could have helped me. But I was on eggshells in my own home. I took, sorry to cut you, the door handle, I used to take that off at night so my stepdad couldn't get into my room.
Nadine, again to you, just really quickly, there's no easy answer to this, but, Tracy talks about talking to people. What would you say?
Well, for me, it's about identifying issues. Each young person has a different case. It could be their parents. The thing that I found is a lot of young people are suffering from low self-esteem. So if you're suffering from low self-esteem, how do you talk to someone? How do you say, no, I don't want to be involved in that? So you've got low self-esteem, learning difficulties, not being able to fit into peer groups at school. There's loads of issues. And the thing is with girls is there's an emotional perspective. So we feel jealous, we feel insecure, our menstrual cycle, all these things affect the way that we respond to other people. And these are things that need to be addressed. More life skills in schools, I believe.